This is the Mercedes-AMG C 63 SE Performance. Behind this rather long name is the most powerful and one of the fastest accelerating series production AMG models ever. And it's all thanks to technology transfer from Formula One, because this is a 4-cylinder turbo plug-in hybrid. Have they all turned off the video? That's fine, let's just pack our stuff and call it a day. Thanks to all of you who decided to continue watching, because this car is worth at least geeking out over. It's Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team stuff in a production car, which you can buy. It's also a glimpse into the future of motoring, and perhaps most importantly, I'll tell you how it affects the driving experience of the Mercedes-AMG C 63 SE Performance. In this episode, I will not focus on the model that is the base for the C63. If you're interested in the regular Mercedes-Benz C-Class, you can watch my review by clicking the link on the screen or in the video description. I will only talk about the differences between the regular and the sporty model. First of all, the C63 is more than 8 centimeters longer than the standard C-Class. The track has increased by more than 7.5 centimeters and the width by 8 centimeters. The C63 has rear-wheel steering as standard, something that is an option on the C-Class. And it's good the rear-wheel steering is standard here, because even with it, the C63 needs more than 12 meters to turn around. Depending on the speed, the rear wheels turn 2.5 degrees in the opposite direction to the front wheels, tightening the turn, or in the same direction, increasing stability at higher speeds. The transition between one mode and the other takes place at up to 100 km per hour, depending on the driving mode. You can also tell this is the C63 by the air outlets on the bonnet and on the front fenders. Both look fake, but at least the one on the bonnet is functional, even if the opening only takes up half of the entire plastic grille. There are some holes in the fender vents, but I don't know what's behind them. Under the vents is the E Performance badge. Replacing the Mercedes star on the bonnet is the AMG crest. There's also the AMG radiator grille, modified front apron, modified rear, and you can order carbon, blackout and aero packs to make your C63 look more expensive. Before we hit the road, a few words about what's under the bonnet and what's in the boot. Bear with me, there's a connection, literally. Under the bonnet is the M139L, L for longitudinal, 4-cylinder engine. It's the power plant we know from the AMG A45, but here it's cranked up to 476 horsepower, making it, again, the most powerful series production 4-cylinder engine in the world. The same engine in the same configuration is also in the C43, but there it comes with a smaller electric exhaust gas turbocharger powered by a 48-volt system, and here we have a larger turbo and a 400-volt system. The turbocharger starts running on electricity before the exhaust gases make it spin. It's like combining a compressor and a turbo with no increased engine load and no turbo lag. In addition, the excess kinetic energy is used to recharge the traction battery. Sounds familiar? That's some F1 shit right here. But if the C63 had only 476 horsepower, we would say, oh yeah, cool, but the V8 had 510 horsepower, so the new model is hardly headline news. Well, it is, because in the boot lives AMG's high-performance traction battery. It's another tech transplant from AMG Petronas F1. The battery's capacity is only 6.1 kilowatt hours, but the whole thing weighs just 89 kilograms, and each of the 560 cells is individually cooled. This allows the battery to maintain optimal temperature of around 45 degrees Celsius. 14 liters of the coolant individually cools each of the cells and is then pushed towards the front of the car for cooling. Thanks to advanced thermal management, the battery can give and receive energy faster, and at the same time it has better longevity. And this could be the future of motoring and electrification. Better energy management will lead to improved battery efficiency and shorter charging times. Who knows? The battery is mounted above the EDU, or the electric drive unit. This contains the electric motor, a 2-speed transmission and a limited slip differential. The electric motor adds up to 204 horsepower, which gives the C63 a total of 680 horsepower and 1020 Nm of torque. And a measly 279-litre boot in the sedan, but you can always order the Estate. Sorry for this rather long introduction, but a lot of things I'll tell you now will make sense, because you have the basic grasp of what the new C63 really is. The Mercedes-AMG C63 SE performance starts in comfort mode, which means hybrid. The engine only starts when you press the accelerator harder or when the traction battery level drops below a certain level, or when you put the car into battery hold or sport plus or race mode. There are also electric, slippery and individual modes. Switching between the modes is done with knobs and buttons on the steering wheel. These have been in AMG models for some time now. On the one hand, they are easy to use, on the other, they feel cheap to touch. The same switches also control the exhaust sound, ESP and recuperation level. The standard level is 1, you can also choose 0 or no recuperation and go up to 3. To be honest, at level 1 I didn't even notice there was recuperation. The Mercedes-AMG C63 SE Performance hybrid powertrain is, on the one hand, a WLTP compliance solution, and on the other hand, a showcase for bringing F1 tech into serious production cars. Among options is the AMG Track Pace app, which records more than 80 data points when you're driving on a track. It can also intelligently use electric energy depending on your chosen strategy. At launch, there are 30 tracks in the database with 70 planned in total. You can either select a hot lap or endurance racing. Depending on your position on the track, the car can either regenerate energy or give you a boost in certain sections. I don't know how many C63 owners will actually use this, but they will have the bragging rights. Similarly, you're unlikely to experience the benefits of the EDU being permanently connected to the drive shaft. This means the electric motor can, to a certain extent, replace ESP and stabilize the car, sending torque to the front wheels when slip is detected. Or it can regenerate energy instead of ESP braking individual wheels. This makes the hybrid system more efficient. Because the new C63 has 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive, which simply didn't fit on the already long nameplate. Of course, there's a drift mode, available only when you reach certain parameters that are difficult to achieve on public roads. Of course, you can drive at speed up to 125 km/h using only electric power and have all-wheel drive, and of course, hit the accelerator harder and the internal combustion will kick in. Full power is only available in Sport Plus and Race modes. In other modes, there is still about 570 horsepower available. The second gear in the electric motor's transmission engages when the speed exceeds 140 km/h. It's similar to the Porsche Taycan, where at certain speed you need less torque and more speed. The internal combustion engine is mated to a 9-speed AMG SpeedShift MCT, where a wet start of clutch replaces the torque converter. Performance? Mercedes promises 3.4 seconds from 0 to 100 km per hour. I managed 3.2 seconds in race mode with launch control. Top speed is electronically governed at 280 km per hour. Claimed fuel consumption is 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers combined and 11.7 kilowatt hours. And here we need to discuss the WLTP and how PHEVs are used to circumvent it. The WLTP cycle tests fuel consumption in 4 speed ranges, up to 56.5 kilometers per hour, up to 76.6 kilometers per hour, up to 97.4 kilometers per hour, and up to 131.3 kilometers per hour. This is supposed to simulate urban and extra-urban driving in roughly equal proportions, and everything would be great if it weren't for the fact that the WLTP test route takes about 20 minutes in total and is just over 23 kilometers long. Not surprisingly, plug-in hybrids usually complete the test with ridiculous results, like below 1 liter per 100 kilometers. However, the C63's tiny traction battery is only enough for about 13 kilometers of electric range. Now, don't worry, there's always about 25% of that 6.1 kilowatt hours left in the battery, which you get to keep your additional 204 horsepower. After driving about 45 kilometers in and around the city without the high-speed section, I did see just below 7 liters per 100 kilometers. However, on a 100 kilometer long test route with dual carriageway sections, my result was closer to 15 liters per 100 kilometers, and this is the absolute minimum you should expect, especially if you drive your AMG like it was intended. So, how does it ride and handle? While the C43 weighs 1,765 kilograms, just 10 kilograms more than the previous generation V8, but still 10 kilograms more than the V8, the C63 weighs 2,168 kilograms, which means we could just skip all the hybrid greenwashing business, keep the V8, stop pretending that WLTP has anything to do with real-world fuel economy, since a 680 horsepower plug-in hybrid passes the test with flying colors, but it actually is as inefficient as the V8. With a stiffer chassis, smart all-wheel drive and even smarter active suspension and rear-wheel steering, it doesn't feel like the sedan you're driving weighs as much as a mid-size SUV. Now, while the old AMG rear-wheel drive kept you on your toes, this is more like a game console. I mean, you can push this beyond what seems physically possible and not feel much excitement. Especially that gone with the V8 is the V8 sound. AMG cars always had the best soundtrack. All you had to do was start the engine, you didn't even have to drive the car, and this... And now everything sounds the same. The C63 has a bunch of mics and speakers which pick up the sound from under the bonnet, amplify it and play it inside as well as the outside, but the car still sounds no better than an A45, which is lighter, more engaging to drive and has the same engine. The brakes are superb. I was warned by the press office that the car is going in for service after my test drive, but I cannot complain about how the car brakes. There are 6 piston calipers in the front and single piston floating calipers in the rear. Composite brakes are optional. Price of the Mercedes-AMG C63 SE Performance start at €115,174. With options, this car costs €130,599.91. I understand and appreciate the transfer of technology from motorsports to series production models. While it may seem like tour de force now, ultimately it will help in development of affordable, efficient electrified vehicles. But it's one thing to run a hot lap around a track and another to feel engaged while driving. And the new AMG no longer delivers the latter. And what do you think about the Mercedes C63 SE performance? Are you excited by the new technology, or do you prefer the V8 sound? And do we really have to choose? The comment section is yours. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.